For today's camera comparison, we have the brand new POCO X3 GT and then we have the highly popular iPhone 12. Now, price-wise, you can buy about 3 of these for the price of an iPhone 12. So the main purpose of this camera comparison is to show you what an affordable device like the POCO X3 GT can do when compared to a flagship like the iPhone 12. Alright, so I think we should start by checking out some daytime pictures and more specifically some pictures that I took with the ultra-wide cameras on the back of these two devices. Okay, so looking at the ultra-wide pictures that I took, I have to say I was quite impressed by the pictures that I took with the X3 GT. So first of all, the colors in those pictures aren't oversaturated as they are in the pictures taken by the iPhone 12. So pretty important for me. Now, picture sharpness is about the same, but the dynamic range in the pictures taken by the iPhone 12 seems to be a bit better. And also the iPhone 12 has the somewhat wider field of view. But overall, I have to say the POCO X3 GT did really well with that ultra-wide camera. Moving on to some 5x zoom pictures, well, here keep in mind that neither device has a telephoto lens on the back, so everything that you are seeing is digital zoom. Now here I can't really say that one phone does better than the other one because in a couple of pictures the iPhone 12 does better, but for a couple of pictures the POCO X3 GT does better. So for 5x zoom pictures, realistically neither device does that amazing. Moving on to some portrait mode pictures, well, looking at the subject, so myself and my daughter, the edge detection around the subject is somewhat similar in between the two devices, but for dynamic range the iPhone 12 does seem to do better in most pictures. So for portrait mode pictures, I personally prefer the pictures taken by the iPhone 12, but definitely leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. Do you prefer the POCO X3 GT or the iPhone 12 for those portrait mode pictures? And we're gonna move on and check out some pictures that I took with the main cameras on the back of the two devices, and of course all the pictures that you are seeing right now are taken on auto mode and about a second apart from each other. Now here once again I can't really say that one phone does better than the other one because some pictures are better from the iPhone 12, some pictures are better from the POCO X3 GT, and a lot of pictures do look fairly similar. So for daytime pictures using the main cameras, you can't really go wrong with either device in my opinion. So I'm gonna let you guys watch a few more pictures and I'll be back right after. Next we're gonna move on and check out some pictures that I took at night, of course with the iPhone 12 and the POCO X3 GT. Now for those nighttime pictures I used the night modes on both devices, and the night modes are also available for the main cameras and for the ultra-wide cameras on both devices. And we are starting with some pictures that I took with the ultra-wide camera. Now, even though the POCO X3 GT is the much cheaper device, it feels like every single picture that I took with the ultra-wide lens, and of course that night mode is better than the picture that I took with the iPhone 12. Mostly because those pictures are a bit sharper, even though the pictures from the iPhone 12 are a bit brighter, but you can easily edit that. So overall for the ultra-wide camera and the night mode, it feels that the POCO X3 GT does better than the iPhone 12, which is quite impressive considering how affordable this phone is. But moving on to pictures that I took with the main cameras and the night mode, well, things change here. So it seems that every single picture taken by the iPhone 12 is better than the picture that I took with the POCO X3 GT. So for the main camera, it seems that the iPhone 12 has the bigger sensor and of course the better one in this case. So all the pictures taken by the iPhone 12 are a bit sharper and also a bit brighter taken with the main camera. So overall, with the ultra-wide lens at night, the POCO X3 GT will do better, but for the main camera, the iPhone 12 will do better than the POCO X3 GT. But once again, leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts about the nighttime pictures and these two devices. Next we're gonna move on and check out some sample video recordings that I filmed with these two devices. So if you're using the main cameras on their backs, they can both do 4K at 30 frames per second, and they also have image stabilization at that resolution. Of course, the iPhone 12 can also do 4K at 60 frames per second, something that the POCO X3 GT cannot do. But the video quality for that main camera is really good. Now for the ultra-wide camera and the front-facing camera, the iPhone 12 does seem to do better in those situations. So I'll let you guys watch those sample recordings and I will be right back. Alright, we have a quick recording in 4K at 30 frames per second between the POCO X3 GT and of course the iPhone 12. So I'm gonna stop here for a second. We're gonna pan left towards these flowers. I'm actually gonna walk towards the flowers here. So at this resolution, both devices support image stabilization, and of course I have that enabled for this particular recording. It's also a bit windy, so you may hear some wind aside from my voice in this particular recording. So yeah, if you're recording in 4K at 30 frames per second with the POCO X3 GT and the iPhone 12, this is how the footage will look like. Alright, and we are moving on to a quick recording with the front-facing cameras on the POCO X3 GT and of course the iPhone 12. Now the maximum recording resolution for the POCO X3 GT with the front-facing camera is 1080p at 30 frames per second, where the maximum recording resolution for the iPhone 12 with the front-facing camera is 4K at 60 frames per second. It doesn't seem that the POCO X3 GT has image stabilization available for the front-facing camera at this particular resolution. However, we do get image stabilization for the rear camera. So yeah, this is how recording with the front-facing cameras on these two devices would look like. And we are moving on to a quick recording with the ultra-wide cameras on the back of the iPhone 12 and of course on the back of the POCO X3 GT. Now, if you're recording the ultra-wide cameras on the back of the two devices, the maximum recording resolution for the POCO X3 GT is 1080p at 30 frames per second. We do seem to have image stabilization at that resolution. With the iPhone, of course, the maximum recording resolution for that ultra-wide camera is 4K at 60 frames per second. So yeah, this is how recording with the ultra-wide camera on the backs of these two devices would look like. Alright, we have a quick video recording in low light between the POCO X3 GT and of course the iPhone 12. For this recording I'm doing 4K at 30 frames per second and using the main cameras on the back of the two devices. We're gonna stop here, I'm gonna pan right slowly. We'll keep going slowly. And we'll go back left and keep walking straight for a bit. So yeah, this is how recording in low light between these two devices would look like. So what do you guys think about those video recordings? Personally, I wasn't expecting that the POCO X3 GT would do that well with that main camera. I was impressed by the video quality from the main camera and recording in 4K at 30 frames per second. Alright, next we're gonna move on and check out some selfies. Well, for selfies, I personally prefer every single selfie taken by the iPhone 12. The colors do seem a bit more realistic in the pictures taken by the iPhone 12 for the daytime selfies and for the nighttime selfies. Not to mention the nighttime selfies from the iPhone 12 are also a bit sharper. So there you have it. This is the POCO X3 GT. What do you guys think about it? Is it good enough? Are the cameras good enough for its price? Definitely leave a comment and let me know. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.